Hello, Sagittarius, and welcome to Indigo Rising Tarot. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you're having a great day. This will be your weekly reading for the week of March 22nd through the 28th. And can you feel it? I feel like spring is in the air a little bit. We've been doing this hot, cold thing, but we're getting there, right? So I hope you're getting through the winter. Okay, we're almost there, almost getting to summer. Exciting for me. It's my favorite season. So during this week, we will have a waxing crescent moon. We bring that energy in from last week. And of course, a waxing crescent is heightened senses in a time that we're, just having the ability to get work done, buckle down and work on those things that we started during the new moon. Then our first disruptor of the month comes with the first quarter. That will come in on the 26th of the month. And our first quarter can feel almost like a mini full moon, but that energy doesn't last nearly as long. I know for me, the full moon energy is a few days. This is maybe just a couple of hours on the 26th, or maybe a little bit more for some of you, but it's where you might feel impulsive, impatient. Maybe your mind is active. It's just hard to buckle down and get things done. So keep that in mind on the 26th, and maybe, go a little lighter that day. Pencil something in that's maybe a little more fun and doesn't require all of your concentration. So we then move into the waxing gibbous energy for the rest of the week. And of course, that's back to work, allows for a deeper understanding and a good time to show that we can be flexible in those things that we've started and kind of make adjustments and make things work for us. So please keep those moon energies in mind as we move through the week. This will be an intuitive general reading for the energies that you may or may not encounter, Sagittarius. So as always, please take what resonates and leave what doesn't on the table for someone else. And your overall message for this reading is that you are good enough. Every time I see that card, I think of the Stuart Smiley SNL clip, and I want to say, and gosh darn it, people like you. It just makes me laugh when I see that card. Anyway, all right, as I'm shuffling the tarot, my fun weekly reminder this week is that you keep a spiritual journal. So a lot of times sometimes we just forget the things that are happening to us, things that we learn in our spiritual life. If you're good at journaling, maybe you're already writing this stuff down, but keeping a spiritual journal does allow you later to go back and kind of see things. And this would be like things that I journal about would be dreams that I have, or trying to really understand like the numerology. If I'm seeing repeating numbers, trying to really delve into understanding that, just lessons that I learned, synchronicities that I might have. Some of those things may seem insignificant at the time, and then later you go back and you look and you can kind of see a pattern of how things were playing a big part in your life, and maybe you just weren't aware. So it's just a really good learning tool. So keep that in mind, is to try to keep a spiritual journal. All right, I will stop babbling. Let's get into this reading. Sagittarius, March 22nd through the 28th, you are good enough. And your overall energy right now is the Queen of Swords. You are good enough, and you are telling the entire world around you that you are. So that's kind of the energy of the Queen of Swords. Very logical, does not mince words, lays everything out in a very logical way, but also it is that feminine energy of it. So, she can be very firm, but she's also understanding and has that empathetic part of logic, if that makes sense, like logic, but yeah, there is some empathy existing there. But that's your current energy right now. Your current situation is the Knight of Swords. So lots of thinking or messaging coming in right now. So there may be some, information that comes in very quickly, or something that you're taking off with very quickly, an idea that you've had. So whatever it is, again, remember, you are good enough. Even if this information comes in is less than positive, don't let it shake you too much. At the root of this situation is the Ten of Pentacles. So this may involve, long-term wealth and security, with the Ten of Pentacles. And it may be some information regarding that. Maybe you get good news that your 401k is killing it, right? Maybe you get bad news that another investment is not killing it. So whatever it is, we'll see as this come out. And that's just an example. But it is something about your long-term, even though this is a card of material, a card of, Pentacles, which is about the material world, I do see this card too as being about just family in general, and generational family. So it could be information that is coming in about generations of your own family. In your recent past here is the Empress. So look at you sitting in your creativity throne. This could be a card about childbirth. This could be you creating something long term, whatever that might be. This could be a project or something that you were working on, or are working on in the past, something you've made it's a big decision that you've made to do something over time. Something, it's not a quick decision to do something for a weekend. The Empress makes creative decisions about months and years in advance. So, but you're sitting in this good, positive, creative energy, kind of just at your pinnacle when it comes to your life force and your creative ability right now. On your mind this week is the Page of Pentacles. So, some new action here when it comes to material things. And maybe that's why, maybe there is some information that comes in that is financial about a new way for you to bring money in, a new side job or something that's going on. Maybe you get a raise. But it's kind of something that you're throwing on this long term pile of wealth and security that's going to go on and on for you. What is just ahead of you this week, Sagittarius, is the Ace of Pentacles. So, okay, I said that we'll see as this comes out. Look at you just creating. You're creating wealth and security. You've got new money coming in. You're doing new things with money. So you're finding a new way to kind of manage the material world. And that's always a good thing. I mean, it's something that we're all, we all have to kind of evaluate and learn, how to best manage our money and time as it's together, and really define what it is when it comes to needs and wants, because our needs are really so little, really. When you really, really think about it, we do a lot of things that we don't need. There's a lot of those luxury things that happen. So, and it takes a certain eye to really kind of get to that point and not compare yourself to others, and just go through life and see what is really important to you. So if it's really important to you to have a big bank account and to build some sort of long-term wealth, you find that your needs and wants become very important, because you don't give in to every single want. You might a few, you might treat yourself a little bit, but not every single one, because then you can't save money. So anyway, that's my little speech on money. Anyway, Ace of Pentacles in front of you. That's something new coming into you and in the form of material. In your advice situation is the Five of Cups. So you might have to let go of some things, and that's okay. That's sacrifice. And sometimes we really learn who we are when it comes to sacrifice, especially if you're in the parenting realm. If this Empress is about, if this isn't always about parenthood, but many times it is, that is really when you learn sacrifice. That's really when you learn that, because you will sacrifice anything for your kids. You'll do anything for them. But the advice is to kind of let some things go that maybe that's okay, especially when it comes to money. What's important to you is saving and feeling that sense of security, rather than having every new bell and whistle that comes out. All right. What is beyond your control this week is a new perspective on that with the Hanged Man. So, yeah, I feel like something may happen to you this week. Some information may come in that kind of tests that for you. It's like a big test of what really, really matters to you. Is it the momentary gratification, or not, or is it long-term wealth and security? That'll be a big question for you this week. Speaking of questions, what is your secret desire, or what are you trying to avoid? Look at this, more pentacles with giving and receiving. So is it your secret desire to be in a place where you can give, or is it your secret desire to not be in a place where you can give, or the opposite of receiving? That's a lot of different questions that go on in this card, because this is kind of one of those dual purpose cards anyway. But you need to ask yourself, where do you want to be when it comes to giving and receiving? Is it your secret desire to be in one of those, or are you trying to avoid both of those altogether? Do you want to be so self-sufficient that you're not giving or receiving? But I will say that being generous, it comes back to you tenfold. It is so true. It is so, so true. So think about that. And even if it's not, even if if it's not much, you know, the person who has nothing and gives $1, did they give more than the person who has everything and gave $100? That's a big question. Anyway, something for you to think about this week. In your outcome position, Sagittarius, more pentacles with the Two of Pentacles and juggling. Look at all the pentacles in this entire reading. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards of pentacles. I will tell you, let's see, we have a couple of swords. I don't see any wands in this reading. And sometimes when there's an element missing. So I am seeing a lot of, we have a card of cups, a couple cards of swords. So some of this is about thought. You know, the swords are about air energy, so thoughts and communications. And cups are really about our emotions. So you're feeling a little bit sad about something, but I do feel like something is brought to you that changes your perspective. And again, it is going to be asking yourself about giving and receiving, and where do you stand on that. And it could just be, again, giving to your family. You give up of yourself so that you can give to your kids. That is a something. If you're a parent, we all have experienced that. So, you know, in the end, are you able to keep things afloat? I think so. I mean, I think you're doing it with a new perspective on things, and how, you know, maybe just being more selfless, and that's kind of, that's something you do have to learn and have a new perspective on. What's hidden from you here at the bottom of the deck is the Page of Swords. So some new way of communication that is definitely hidden from you. You know, maybe, you know, I told you that the Queen of Swords is not afraid to say what's on her mind. So definitely speak up, say what's on your mind when regarding whatever this new information that comes in for you. And it could just be, you know, something that you're arguing with yourself about, you know, where money needs to go, and you kind of have to sit down every once in a while and reevaluate that, especially in this world. I mean, the economy's been pretty crazy this year and the past few years. So go ahead and do that. Reevaluate things. Let's get a final message here from the Soul Oracle deck. Final message for Sagittarius, as it looks like they go through this kind of reevaluation phase when it comes to finances and the material world. Make no judgments. Make no judgments. And, you know, that's almost, you know, I find that there's a card that I'm not seeing here, but it is kind of the comparison is the thief of joy card. And make no judgments, but also make no comparisons. Your life is your own, and you get to live it the way you want to. And don't compare yourself to others. There's just a lot of learning that happens in that. And if that's the case for you, then make sure that you are learning those lessons. So, and be who you are. You are good enough. And I feel like when you believe that and you live your life in a certain way, you know, that goes along with your, you know, your morals and your spiritual importance of how your life needs to be, it's more beautiful in the end. All right, what does Sagittarius need to do in the way of self-care this week? Self-care for Sagittarius this week. And you get the card called Decision. Sometimes the best decision is no decision at all. Okay, so maybe this is just a week of evaluation for you. It's not a week of making really big decisions, but I feel like you are kind of, you know, thinking about things an awful lot. Again, we've got the sword energy where either ideas or thoughts are coming in quickly, and you're definitely, you know, speaking and thinking in a very logical way. But, you know, there's a lot that goes into all of this, and maybe it isn't a big week for decisions. We're not making judgments, just kind of doing an examination and maybe just an evaluation of how things are, and maybe those decisions come later. If you need to make changes and adjustments, those may come later. So Sagittarius, I wish you the best of luck with whatever this is going on in your life. Remember that tarot is a template. You know, for some of you this could be about saving money or investing money. For some of you this may be about your home. You know, but it does seem to be really involved with the material world and your perspective on it, and kind of your sadness at some of it, and again, changing perspective, giving, receiving. There's just a lot of questions about it here. So I'd be very curious. If you're comfortable leaving a comment, let me know if there's something going on. If this resonated with you, I'd like to know what that might be for you this week. Also, if you like my reading style, hitting like and subscribe will help you find me next week. And you can come back and we can see if this energy continues, or if we get to that decision point, maybe next week. Maybe you do try to make some decisions, but come on back next week and we'll see what is going on with you. So thanks so much, Sagittarius. Have a great week, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.